I would like to reconvene the meeting and call the meeting to order for the City Council meeting of May 15th, 2018. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Cordero?
Here.
Councilmember Moats?
Here.
Councilmember Waterfield? Here. Madam Mayor Patino?
Here. Mr. Trujillo, our City Attorney, could you please give the closed session report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The City Council held a closed session to discuss pending litigation, and there is no reportable action. Thank you. Our first order of business is a proclamation, and Councilmember Cordero will be making the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a proclamation for Public Works Week, and here to accept this proclamation is Chris
Petro, Just Shoot at Jeff St. Nicholas. Whereas the City Council of the City of Santa Maria has always supported the role of the Department of Public Works as a vital ingredient to the community and to an integral part of residents' everyday lives. Whereas the support of an informed community is vital to the continued operation of public works, the public works system, and programs such as the production and delivery of clean water, wastewater collection and treatment, stormwater collection and treatment, and control of solid waste and collection and disposal, streets and highways, public transit, public buildings, and fleet services. And whereas the health, safety, and comfort of the communities greatly depends on these facilities and services. And whereas the quality and effectiveness of these services and facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, are vitally dependent upon the efforts and skills of the public works officials, and whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff the Public Works Department is materially influenced by the residents' attitude and the understanding of the importance of the work they perform. Now, therefore, Alice Patino, Mayor of the City of Santa Maria, hereby recognizes the week of May 20th to the 26th, 2018 as National Public Works Week in Santa Maria, and call upon all residents and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing public works and to recognize the contributions which public works officials make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. Witness whereof Alice Patino has set her hand to this in the seal of the great city of Santa Maria to be affixed to hereto on this 15th day of May 2018, signed by Alice Patino.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You didn't have a speech prepared? Sure, go ahead. Yes, please, thank you.
The Public Works Department is not an isolated department. We work in conjunction with the rest of the Utilities Department, the fire, police, everybody. And so this city would not run without these great departments working united. And I really, really appreciate all of the staff that we have here in the city of Santa Maria. It's been a privilege to work with everyone.
Could you introduce all the staff you have here?
Yes, indeed. So we have Jessie Shute here. She's with the Transit Division. And she's about to move to Colorado. But she's been fantastic with us for administration. And we have Jeffrey St. Nicholas. He's one of our technicians for the engineering department. He's a magnificent young graduate student and does terrific work with the counter, issuing permits, and a lot of the development work he also helps facilitate. And then also Roger Olds, our supervisor, is also present. He is one of our principal engineers here in the city, and we work on capital projects together, him and I. And I'm one of the engineers as well. I do a lot of project development and design, and build a lot of concrete facilities.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
The next order of business is a presentation of the GEM Award, and City Manager Stillwell will be making the presentation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I figured I'd make the presentation from up here and invite Casey Stone up here to join me.
Thank you, sir.
So for 12 years, the city's had the Going the Extra Mile Award, and that's to recognize employee achievement. The criteria are leadership, service, teamwork, creativity, cost containment, entrepreneurialism, and all that in providing a high customer service to the city's high standard of professionalism. So a committee reviews nominations that the departments bring forward, and this year they selected Senior Parks Services Officer Casey Stone to receive the award. The Park Services Program began as a way to maintain quality of life in the city's parks, their open spaces, and the other public areas, the common areas. In order to maintain that quality, there have been evolving challenges. They've had to respond to evolving challenges. You have vandalism, loitering, and then the evolving nature of the sense of security in our parks. And like other cities throughout California, there's been a growing issue of homelessness in our public areas and in our parks. So Casey began work with the city in 2014, brought forward his strong experience and insight, allowed him to be able to manage this changing environment. And he recognized that the challenges that we have in providing quality of life and high quality service to the public in the parks and in the community in general ebbs and flows, and we need to be able to react and respond to those changing challenges. So he has been instrumental in working with the Rangers in being able to engage homeless individuals at the individual level, where you can really understand what their issues are, how to be able to address those issues, or how to work with them to address the issues. Developing policies and procedures, again, recognizing that as the issues changed, we need to have different ways to respond to those issues. He was also instrumental in developing the $2 million homeless grant that the city, or the application for the homeless grant that the city received the $2 million grant for. And then he just has a welcoming public demeanor and much more. So the efforts that he has directly improve the city's quality of life, cleanliness, the health, safety, and welfare. And for that, we want to recognize Casey Stone as the 34th GEM Award recipient for the city of Santa Maria.
Well, I don't have a lot to say other than I just want to express how grateful I am for being honored with this award. But really, I just want to accept it on behalf of my team, some of whom are in the back of the room today, the City Rangers. If you guys can stand up, and if we can give them a round of applause. I'm one of many. I'm just doing my job. They're doing their jobs. But they really do go above and beyond too. We work closely with the police department, we work closely with the city attorney's office, code compliance, and we're just grateful for being recognized today, and I really appreciate it, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks.
Very nice. I'm going to do this. All right. Thanks a lot.
And Casey, would you like to introduce your family?
That would be great. Yes. Standing in the back in the black shirt is my wife Kelly, and she's holding our daughter Kinsley, who just turned 16 months. And then my son Kellen is in the light blue shirt. Kellen, can you stand up? Can you stand up and wave to everybody? And his big brother is Levi. Hi, Sam. Can you stand up and wave to Levi?
And thank you very much. The next item on the agenda will be the public comment period. Madam Clerk, could you please read the criteria for the public comment portion of this agenda?
This time is reserved to accept comments from the public on consent agenda items or matters not otherwise scheduled on the printed agenda this evening. Unless otherwise directed by the mayor, speakers will have 3 minutes to comment. Direction to staff may be given. However, state law does not allow action to be taken by the city council on matters not on the printed agenda this evening. Once the public comment period commences, no other speakers will be allowed to submit a request to speak form. And Madam Mayor, I have 2 requests to speak.
Thank you. And Sarah McDonald, followed by Gail McNeely. Good evening, Ms. McDonald.
Good evening. I wanted to tell you I'm back on taking my walks like I used to, and I'm really thrilled that Santa Maria is a walkable city. And there are just a few little tweaks I'd like to see. On Enos across from Buco, you know, the people do cross that street quite a bit, and that might be, you might want to put in one of those flashing kind of systems, because I see quite a few people not being able to cross, and they're constantly waiting, and they don't want to have to go all the way up to Broadway. That's one of my ideas. And another one, it's time that we start doing a citywide cleanup of all the bushes around, because there's quite a few sicky areas that need to be cleaned up. And not everybody, not all the organizations, if we could get people to sign up for Adopt a Road, that would be great. But I'm so happy that Santa Maria is looking better as far as walking, and I feel safe.
You know, Ms. McDonald, if you would like to turn in a list, like when we do Serve Santa Maria, that would be a great project for that.
Okay.
For Serve Santa Maria. So if you just turn in the list to the office, I'll make sure that Pastor Nielsen gets it.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Gail McNeely. Good evening, Mr. McNeely.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I got an email recently that the city wants my opinion in a new survey on city services. It's ironical because you just paid $35,000 on phone surveys for Measure U, getting 400 responses and paying $60 per response. Why not save money and go out to the people and meet with the community? The bigger question is, why ask for our ideas if you're not ready to incorporate them in your preconceived plans? For example, our young people have spoken to you very clearly at city council meetings and task force meetings to no avail. The council-only response came from Ms. Waterfield, who told these young leaders that council is like their parents, they know more than the youth, and youth just need to trust them. Those were your words. 100 youth held a youth summit dealing with community violence. Any mayor or council person should have been at that meeting to hear their ideas. None came. Perhaps you are listening instead to Andy Caldwell, who in your recent collab newsletter wrote, "My head was hurting after listening to the politically correct pablum du jour dribbling from the young people who took part in the school walkouts. These high school students are now going to save us from the NRA and gun violence. Students, heal thyself." Quote. I've talked to many of these youth, and they are sincere in their convictions and concerned for the safety of us all. Do you agree with the derisive remarks Mr. Caldwell made about our youth? If not, why do you support COLAB, the Coalition of Labor, Agriculture, and Business, through your attendance at their private meetings, your financial support, and possible membership? I say possible because it's a secret membership organization. I am not talking to Dr. Motes or Mr. Cordero. I am directing my attention to the mayor and to Ms. Waterfield. Your affiliation with COLAB seems to endorse Andy's views. Is his voice more important than the voice of our youth? When 23 people died in 6 months, I went to Buena Vista Park because the city did not tell us what was happening. And youth told me that MS-13 was killing off Northwest and West Park gang members, and that their friends, not members of gangs, were buying guns to defend themselves. One Community Action was the only group that got together and dealt with this problem. They came to you with solutions, and you rejected them. Mayor, you did not even include one member of One Community Action on your task force, and you did not include any youth. They had to fight for a place at the table. We will never end violence in Santa Maria if we don't value the ideas of our youth and those affected by violence.
Thank you,
To
Mr.
date,
McNeely.
your actions have marginalized a large part of our
Moving on to the
community,
consent calendar,
especially
Madam
our
Clerk,
youth. You
could
can
you
count
please
on
read
the
item
good
number
people
3?
of Santa Maria if you would just start listening. Thank you.
Routine items are presented for city council approval without discussion as a single agenda item in order to expedite the meeting. The consent calendar is approved by roll call vote with one motion. These items are discussed only on the request of council members.
Does anyone have items they wish to pull for discussion?
I do not.
No? Okay.
Madam Mayor, with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve the consent calendar. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Waterfield?
Yes.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Councilmember Moats? Madam Mayor Patino?
Aye. The next item on our agenda is a regular business item. Madam Clerk, could you please read the title?
The City Council will consider the quarterly financial report for the third quarter of the 2017-2018 and budget amendment report to approve personnel operational changes to the 2017-18 budget and to update the city's conflict of interest code.
Thank you. Staff report is to be made by Director of Finance, Ms. Harvey. Ms. Harvey, it's all yours.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members, staff, and the public. Tonight I will briefly present the quarterly financial report for the third quarter ended March 31st, 2018. I will primarily be reviewing the general fund and enterprise funds. The beginning fund balance of $10,071,920 is the final audited balance at July 1st, 2017. Concerning city revenues through the third quarter of the year, sales tax receipts are 9.2% or $1.4 million greater than the third quarter last fiscal year. This variance is due to continued growth in building and construction sales, fuel prices, as well as the opening of businesses at Enos Ranch that contributed to an increase in sales in general consumer goods and restaurants and hotels industry groups. While the increase in sales tax is encouraging, and the city expects to receive a steady stream of sales tax from Enos Ranch, it is important to note that initially, those revenues will likely spike for the first 6 months to a year before coming down to a more realistic level. NHIS revenues are at nearly $1.3 million, which is a decrease of 11.7% as compared to approximately $1.5 million in receipts received through the third quarter of last year. This reduction was expected. In fact, the staff had reduced NHIS projections for 17-18 to $400,000. The unexpected uptick in NHIS revenues is due to the revenues primarily received in the second quarter for the Chevron project at the Orcutt refinery site that required more excavation than expected. However, since the completion of the Orcutt project, NHIS activities have slowed to a crawl. With minimal NHIS material received in April, no set start date for Chevron's San Luis Tank Farm project, staff is only projecting NHIS revenues of about $200,000 in the fourth quarter. Permit revenues is at about $2.1 million or 79.6% of budget and is a 47% decrease compared to the $3.9 million received during the same period last year. Permits issued in the previous year for Enos Ranch development are the main reason for the decrease in revenues. General fund expenditures are at 70.8% of budget and are currently on course to realize $2 million in salary savings included in the 17-18 budget to help address the budget deficit. However, even with the higher sales tax and NHIF revenues, staff is still projecting that expenditures will exceed revenue estimates by about $2.1 million. Concerning Measure U, revenues through the third quarter are ahead of budget at 78.1% or $3.5 million. Expenditures are at 77.7% of budget or $3.5 million, but are only over budget because 3 pay periods actually fell in March. And through the first half of the fiscal year, overall Measure U expenditures exceeded revenues by $21,600, reducing the fund balance to about $296,000. Based on the current pace of expenditures over revenues, Measure U fund balance is projected to remain positive at the end of the fiscal year. Through March, 90% of Measure U expenditures were spent on public safety activities, with 39% expended on fire operations and 51% expended on police operations. As for the enterprise funds, the water and wastewater fund revenues exceeded expenditures by $6.6 million. Expenditures included the semi-annual debt service payments totaling $4.6 million for the 2012 refunding bonds. Additional capital expenditures are anticipated to occur by the end of the fiscal year. For the solid waste fund, revenues exceeded expenditures by $1.9 million, with operating expenses about 3% or $446,000 greater than the prior year. The transit fund also showed revenues greater than expenditures by $54,000. 3 Clean Air Express buses account for the majority of the capital expenditures to date. In conjunction with the third quarter report, staff recommends 4 budget amendments for council's consideration. That concludes my staff report, and I'm available to answer any questions council may have.
Any questions from Ms. Harvey? None?
I'm good.
No questions for them.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any written correspondence or requests to speak?
No, Madam Mayor, we do
Okay.
not.
I'll bring this item back to the council for discussion and a motion.
Madam Mayor, if there's no discussion in regards to this, I'd like to make a motion, a resolution to adopt approving the third quarter financial reporting ending March 31st, 2018.
Second.
And amendments.
And the conflict of interests.
I can't read with these darn things. I got new contacts and it's just so hard. Everything is blurry and I don't think these are the right. So, the resolution to be adopted approving amendments to the 2017-18 budget and authorizing the city manager to implement the same. And do I have to make 2 motions or can this be in
just
one?
one.
And a resolution to be adopted approving the updates to the city conflict of interest codes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you second that, Mr. Cordero?
Yes, I second it, Mayor.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to adopt the resolutions approving amendments to the budget and the conflict of interest code. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Waterfield.
Aye.
Councilmember Cordero.
Aye.
Councilmember Moats. And Madam Mayor Patino.
Aye. Next item of business will be a report by the city manager, Mr. Stillwell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. The next meeting of the City Council will be June 6th. We have a retirement resolution for Mike Spears from Information Technology, and we have one regular business item to an application for the Environmental Enhancement and Mitigation Grant. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. So next we'll have reports of city council members. And
Okay.
Ms. Waterfield, we'll start with you.
Okay, Madam Mayor, on Wednesday, May the 2nd, I did the Ben Hayes show doing the post-city council election. Later that afternoon, I met with mobile home park owners at Casa del Sol, along with council member Michael Moats. That evening, I was helping with the Rodeo Queen. I did celebrity bartending at Cool Hand Luke's. Thursday, May the 3rd, I attended the National Day of Prayer. That same day, I attended the LAFCO meeting at the Board of Supervisors room, and later that evening, I did another celebrity bartending for the rodeo at the Far Western. On Friday, May the 4th, I did an agenda review for SB CAG. Then at 12 o'clock, I attended the air show kickoff at the Central Coast Jet Center, and this is going to be an air show in October that is going to bring the Canadian pilot jet flyers to the city of Santa Maria, and it's just going to be absolutely awesome to watch. So everyone keep on the lookout for that. On Sunday, May the 6th, I attended the Kiwanis in Action nonprofit fashion show, and that was a lot of fun. There were a lot of nonprofits that were showing off all their designer clothes that they made up and put together, and that was just a fun event to be a part of. I was a judge on that one. Then later that evening, I left for Carson for a gang conference, and I attended the gang conference Monday, May 7th and Tuesday, May 8th, and it was a very heavy, informative gang and prevention and intervention conference. And I'm going to find myself getting involved with the trafficking, the sex trafficking that's going on. It's one of the fastest growing billion-dollar industry. It beats out the drugs and it beats out the guns. And the thing about this is that they're preying on children. And these kids just, they did not choose words to soften this conference at all. And I believe this is something that every member of our community needs to watch out for everywhere on the Central Coast, because it could be happening in your own neighborhood. And there are things to watch out for that will determine what's going on. And it happens in all types of neighborhoods across the country, and we really need to be aware of this. And I know our chief and his department is working great guns on that, but it's, this is something that's very heavy on my heart, and I really do want to get more involved with that. The Wednesday, May 9th, the next day, I attended the Santa Maria Day reporting graduation. And Thursday, May 10th, I attended the APCD budget briefing I had with the executive director. Then later that afternoon, I attended Merrill Gardens, and there was a 100th birthday party that was just great. And they had 3 ladies there that were like the Andrews sisters, and it was just so much fun. It was just a great time to have.
You may have to explain to this audience who the Andrews sisters are.
Everybody knows the Andrews sisters.
Mr. Springer there doesn't know.
He doesn't know. He can Google it.
Did they sing?
Yes, they did. They sang so many great songs. Oh my gosh, that I was very familiar with, by the way. Friday, May 11th at 9:30, I did the grand opening for the JCPenney's remodel, and at 11:45, I had lunch with a woman who is also involved with the sex trafficking in the city of Santa Maria, and she has the House of Hope here. I also met later that evening with Steve Lavanino to talk about certain issues of LAFCO, and then attended the Veterans Treatment Court, which is always an excellent event to attend. It's just amazing what this treatment court does with our veterans. And at 4:30, I attended a police briefing for the Santa Maria Police Council is having their 10th anniversary comedy dinner and golf tournament. And I did a briefing with the police officers to let them know what was coming up, what we needed from them, and the whole thing. So on Monday, June the 11th, we are going to be having our golf tournament, and I do have my invitations in the car that I did not bring for all you guys. But anyway, would love to have you all attend. And it's going to be a comedy dinner later on. I know Steve Kahn has played in it, and he's had a really good time. So I think that's it.
It's a lot.
Dr. Motes?
I was busy.
You're making me look bad. Okay, on Wednesday, May 2nd, I went to the festive celebration of the students and Person Man of the Year Award presentation, won by our own Rick Hayden at the Elks. And on Thursday, May 10th, I attended the Public Arts Subcommittee meeting, where we tried to reach some degree of consensus on how much to stick it to the builders in order to support public art. And we decided to have another meeting, as always. And then we're going to present it to our city manager
who's going to consider it and bring it to the attention of the council. And that's all I did.
Thank you, Dr. Moats. Mr. Cordero?
Yes, Mayor. Dr. Moats, how was that meeting that you had with the Casa del Sol people with, oh, you weren't there, were you? I hate to correct her because she's not here. I wanted her to be here. He wasn't there. It was I that was there. On May 2nd, it was Casa del Sol. We met with George Barnes and his group at the mobile home park. They had some concerns about some rent issues and things that have been going on in the past 20 years and things they want to go on the next 10 years. And we'll be discussing that. Ed and I are going to have a meeting with the city manager and the city attorney and see what we can do to brief them on it. On the 2nd, I also attended the Citizen of the Year and the Student of the Year at the Elks. And our own Rick Hayden, of course, as it was said, won that event. And it was quite a show. The mayor was not there, but we had her there in spirit. And I got a lot of positive feedback from that, by the way. It was a nice, well-handled event, and Rick was not aware that he was getting that until that night. I attended and read the prayer for the city government at the National Day of Prayer, which was a true experience, and also received some positive feedback from that. I was also at the Vets Treatment Court graduation at the Shepherd Hall over at the library. On the 9th, I attended the North County Economic Forecast at the Radisson. Last night, I met with the school district and their staff concerning things that they're doing and changes that they're making. I mentioned it a few months ago, and they're dealing a lot more with data as opposed to just trying to teach the kids reading, writing, and arithmetic. And they seem to be successful with that and hope to bring our scores up, at least in Santa Maria. And today I met with the Strawberry Commission again regarding a little bit about H2A. And the only thing they really had to say was they had other things coming down from Sacramento to do here, but the only thing they wanted to reiterate with me was that they made a promise to participate as much as they could with the city attorney in trying to come up with a final draft for an ordinance, and they just wanted to reiterate that. And I told them that I would bring that message to the council. That's it for me, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Cordero. May 3rd, I attended the National Day of Prayer at the Santa Maria Fair Park. I think every year it gets bigger and bigger. It just seemed like it was just really, really packed
Certainly
this year.
improved.
Met with members of the Elks Club to discuss Union Valley Parkway because they want to have it open how many feet? About 20 feet?
It's a little more than that, but not a lot more.
Okay, so that people can exit out of the Elks Event Center and exit to the south and get back on the freeway. That afternoon, I had a conference call with the mayors and council members executive forum panel. Later, I attended the Elks window painting meeting that we had, another meeting on the Elks window painting. And if you've seen around town, the painting that our high school students have done with the help of, I shouldn't say with the help of Bob Orrick, he didn't do any of the painting, but we got the kids together and with some of the teachers from Rigetti and Santa Maria High School. May 6th, I attended the Gang Prevention Intervention Conference down in LA, and the one workshop that Ms. Waterfield was talking about was a comparative anatomy of gang sex trafficking. Opal Singleton, who has been here once before, was at Hancock, and she goes up and down the state and still does a lot of research and puts together data on what's going on. The different topics were surviving homicide, violence prevention in Baltimore. This was an international conference, so you had people not just from the United States, you had them from Central America, South America, and I'm not sure where else. There was a couple of the workshops that were given in Spanish. Another topic was working towards zero gang homicides. And anyway, it was David Kennedy, who is the director of National Network for Safe Communities in New York, was was a keynote speaker, along with Chief Charlie Beck, who's the chief of Los Angeles Police Department, was there. Very, very good conference and a lot of networking that we all did. May 9th, I attended the UCSB North County Economic Summit at the Radisson. And that that afternoon, the Santa Maria Day Reporting Center graduation at the Radisson also. May 10th, met with the Club Comentario Tepehuaje, which is an organization of people that come from the state of Jalisco and the town of Tepehuaje. And there's about 35 families that have settled in the Santa Maria Valley, and they've been living here, some of them for 50 years. Attended Alexina Tayo's 100th birthday celebration at Merrill Gardens. And as Ms. Waterfield said, there was 3 other women there that were already 100 years old. May 11th, I attended the mayor's managers meetings in Solvang, at Solvang City Hall, where all the managers and mayors in the county get together and network, tell everyone what we're doing here in Santa Maria and in their cities. I attended the Santa Maria Veterans Treatment Court graduation ceremony. And let's see, on May 14th, then this morning I did the Ben Hayes show and met with a group on the Refugio townhouses and the North Broadway development. And I think that's it. Any other additions from the council?
I just want to make one comment in regards to our gang conference. The last session I attended, you may want to consider this, Chief Hansen. The speakers were from Canada. They were from Vancouver, and they were talking about their technique of subduing the gang people. And I was sitting next to our guy from the city of Santa Maria, Eddie, and then right next to me were 2 big guys that were from New York. And so they started talking about, well, this is what we do, just so that we can get them to trust us, is that when we stop guys that have drugs and guns, we let them go so they can earn our trust. And I looked at Eddie and I said, oh, I don't think that'll work in the city of Santa Maria. He goes, no. So I turned over to the 2 guys next to me and I said, would that work in New York? And they said, we're out of here. He says, no, not at all. So at that moment, the Canadians' thoughts did not work well with the United States.
I wanted to give a little shout out to our recs and parks. The summer, one of the summer programs they have, it's for teens in grades 7 through 12th, teen treks. And these are trips that the teens are going to be going on. There's Hearst Castle up at San Simeon, the Ravine, which is a water park up in Paso Robles, Rock and Jump, that's in Santa Maria, a paintball in Santa Maria, kayaking in Morro Bay, as I said, with the Sharks, riding ATV classes, and just a lot of fun things. And then they'll have summer teen trails. So this is hiking, Reservoir Canyon Trails in San Luis County, South Hills Trails in San Luis, San Antonio Creek Trails in our county, Rattlesnake Flats Trail in Santa Barbara County. So there's a lot of things planned for kids. There's also the girls' self-defense class, which is free for teen girls in grades 7 through 12. And then they're going to have for junior high a girls' night out. They're going to have a beach bonfire at Grover Beach, and then they're going to get together on August 25th and have back-to-school makeover at Abel Maldonado Community Youth Center, so they learn about proper skincare and how to use makeup. So there's a lot of fun things ready for our kids. We'll have the Safe and Sound program going on at all of our parks this summer, so there'll be a lot of things for kids to do. Any other comments from the dais? Yes, Mr. Cordero.
To comment on the GEM Award this evening, he's done a lot of work in dealing with the homeless. And I'm involved with the Home for Good at the executive level and the budgeting and stuff. And one of the key components of success is going to be to know who these people are and where they are. And the work that he's done will make the work that the Home for Good has to do much easier, because we'll know more about these people And so it goes, his efforts, the fine efforts that he made or brought forward here tonight are going to go far beyond the city of Santa Maria and into the entire county to work with the Home for Good.
Thank you very much for bringing that up. If there's no other further business, the meeting is adjourned.